enjoyed the depiction of the busts that I showed at the beginning of the video. They came from the Universal Horror box set, which came out about the same time with the Van Helsing film did. It's a good box set, and the printed busts are a nice little bargain to go along with it. I hope that you're all okay. The coronavirus has affected my area quite heavily. In fact, in Wales is the most heaviest affected. There are a lot of people in hospital at the moment, so my thoughts and prayers go to them. And I hope you guys are safe and well and looking after yourselves. I'm in the second week now of imposed 3 weeks, 4 weeks exile from the outdoors. I got plenty of food. We made sure at the beginning that we will have at least a month's supply. And we got enough toilet paper. I must add, we got enough toilet paper. There's far too many people have bought so much toilet paper. We got like a year's supply of it. We got enough for a month. We're giving other people a fair chance of having their toilet paper as well. So there we are. So yes, we got to the Realm of Terror box set. And I'm referring for my PDF here. So what you get with the box set, basically you get a book which is coming to around, excuse me, 144 pages. This book was written by Bruce Nesmith with Andrea Hayday, and this was published in 1990, quite a few years ago now. The direct influences of the Realm of Terror box set come straight from Tracy and Laura Hickman, who wrote the famous Ravenloft model, and a lot of the tropes in that model are now depicted in the Realm of Terror. I'll go through them as we talk through the product. It was also directly influenced by the Universal series of horror films, the Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, by an extent the Creature from the Black Lagoon, particularly the Invisible Man and the Mummy were in there. And a lot of the creatures that are depicted in Ravenloft are influenced very heavily by these films. And so the atmosphere is kind of get that gothic horror type of feel, which you can't really get anywhere but on those films, and you only watch the film you get that whole sort of feeling. The Ravenloft as a role play game does a very valiant attempt at doing that. So what you get in the product, as I said, you get a 144 page book which gives you the rules and descriptions of the various aspects of the Realm of Terror. You also get maps, large maps, and also a clear plastic hex thing which you can impose in the maps, so it allows you to know how long it takes for you to travel to any particular point in Ravenloft. You also have cards, and on the cards are depicted various pictures of Strahd, various buildings depicted in the Realm of Terror, and also in several of the models. Speaking of which, the models are by and large hit and miss. You get some really good ones, but you also get some very bad ones. But they flesh out in some ways the Dark Lords and the lands that is described in this book, which I'll go through in a minute. And also along with that, then you've also got cards which show the families of the particular characters in Ravenloft itself. On the reverse of each card is various bits of information such as who's who, a key to the buildings, like in the floor number 1 you have key 1, 2, 3, 4 in the houses. You also have the kind of things that are affected by Ravenloft itself, which is spells, magical items, and so on and so forth, which I will go through. Now the book itself starts off with an overall explanation of Ravenloft itself, or rather the main core, if you like. The main core itself, which is a one big land mass, which several different lands attached to, and these lands can come into being or disappear as time goes by. And as a Dark Lord is created, and he or she gets a land that revolves around them, and then that gets attached to the core of Ravenloft itself. Surrounding Ravenloft are the Islands of Terror, and these are different realms which are not quite attached for whatever reason to the main core itself. So they float out and sort of out in the boundaries around the land, and the overall boundary of the main core is the mists which permeate all around it, and sometimes within Ravenloft itself. Now each land comes into being, as I said, through the powers Now the powers are very narratively described in the book. No one really knows what they are, and it's up to the dungeon master to give them a more fuller explanation if he and she desires, or if she wants to, keep them very mysterious in the background. And it's those powers that are created Ravenloft, and it's also the same powers that give them the roads, their lands, and the actual strengths that they have, and weaknesses as well, while being in the lands. So the character gets into Ravenloft, the Dark Lord, or Lordess if you like, knows about it, and they either ignore them completely as being nothing to do with their plans, or they take very great big interest in the playing characters, especially if a paladin is upon the ring characters, because he stands out like a light bulb in the darkness. So the Dark Lord, or whoever he or she may be, is instantly attracted to the party. But they have powers in the land, which only the land and the actual beings of the creative Ravenloft will give them. And they can close the borders, and the borders are closed in various different ways. Now you have a wall of flame in one instant, or you have a wall of undead that you can't get past, or you get a choking mist like you did in Barovia with Ravenloft and Strahd. If you try and get beyond the mist, you'll die. And these are the sort of tropes that have been taken from the Ravenloft model and brought into the campaign setting here, with the ability for each Dark Lord to close the borders. Some can't do it, but a lot of them can. So it depends on how you want to play the adventures, while the characters in there, how the Dark Lord reacts to them, whether or not they go and close the border. But that's the thing. Now, also they have the timetable of how the Ravenloft came to be and what lands were added to it. We can safely ignore that. Playing characters don't give a shit. I don't. I mean, why do they know what year Barovia came into being, what year Katarkas came into being, or Tedbest or Keenan? Who gives? That's more than enough for any playing character to know. So that's that. Also, the actual trope that comes along in the adventure campaign set is the fact that playing characters can be transported by the powers to Ravenloft itself, and mists will suddenly appear around them. They'll fade away and in a completely different place, and not even aware of that transition of period from where they were to where they are now. And the kind of thing that Ravenloft has, which I'm not entirely happy about, and I'm not sure that any other playing character has been, to my knowledge they haven't been, is the fact that they're trapped in Ravenloft then, and they're unable to go back to the realm that they were originally from. There are some ways of getting from Ravenloft, and it's like a quest then to try and find a way back to wherever they are, wherever they live, be it Greyhawk, be it the Forgotten Realms, be it Dragonlance, or any other places like that. Excuse me. And that's smacked too much of a prisoner. You know, we've got a bunch of playing characters who are in like number 6, trying to sort of outwit the powers that be in an attempt to get back to Ravenloft, not far to their own realms. That doesn't quite wash with me, and it's not a character that's been here, that kind of railroady aspect of it, where they're trapped without any choice in what they can do. The campaign set gives some outs, okay, like a certain night that in one year where light shines into a cave, and there's a gateway opens up for about 10 seconds, you have to make sure you hustle through it, stuff like that. But why do that? So I just ignored that aspect of it. If the playing characters want to come out of Ravenloft, they can. But I try to make it so interesting that they like to stay on their own volition without having the choices taken away from them. They can accept that a lot better. Anyhow, the actual book goes on to say then about characters, player characters, and how the Ravenloft's affected them. Certain things they can do in their own realms, can't do in Ravenloft. Certain spells are distorted or banished altogether, like trying to teleport out of certain places means they go straight back to where they came from. Trying to mind read a Dark Lord, gets an eye in front of them, in front of the Dark Lord, and he or she can see and know then they've been spied upon. The cleric turning tables, which you can see behind me here, these ones show now that it's a bit more difficult to turn undead in Ravenloft, purely simply because the place is a sinkhole of evil, as it says in the book. And there's certain places where it can become such an evil place that turning undead will become next to impossible. And you can see how tough it is now from the table over there, exactly how hard it is to turn a given undead. And like some other spells, like protection from evil, doesn't work in Ravenloft to an extent. And characters like paladins, like I said earlier on, standard like sword thuns, and a lot of stuff that they used to be able to do, they can't. Or at least the turtle and bears are that much more difficult for them, and so on and so forth. Evil creatures will react to them, but you know, they got that sense evil aspect, the paladin, that goes off all the time, so they just don't know where anything comes from. And trying to know alignment, that's next to impossible. One of the big mechanics that Ravenloft has is the fear and horror checks. They do it a typical dice roll to see whether or not you reacted to a given situation that would cause fear or horror, because a lot of it goes on, there's a lot of horror aspects in the game, and of course you come across a creature that will induce fear in you. If you fail the checks, you either get feared or you get horrified. And when you get horrified, you become insane, depending on the dice rolls you do and the given factors and tables there. It also gives a chapter then on werewolves and vampires and how they're affected by Ravenloft. Now they got a new concept in this particular game where the older the vampire is, the more powerful it becomes. It's also the same with mummies. There's one particular in one of the companions with monster manuals, where they say the same thing. If the mummy gets older and older, the more powerful he becomes, and so on and so forth. It's that more difficult to turn them. And only that as well, the older they get, the more used to sunlight they get, and they can endure it for a greater period of time. I mean, not wholly, I mean, there's a certain time when they have to go back indoors and so on, but they can't go outside, which fools people into thinking, well, maybe they're not vampires at all. That's a nice mechanic, you know, so you can get yourself against a years old vampire, which is a lot tougher than you would have thought it would be, you know. So that's that. The other part of it, you know, is curses, where the curse can be given by a particular character to a player character, an NPC to a player character, and vice versa. But these curses have to be encountered in such a way that they make sense and they're valid, and not only that, they have a little loophole which a player character can get out of if he finds a way of doing so. And you have to be very careful about what you say in your curses, because you can backlash against you if you do it wrong. So they give rules in this, and quite comprehensive rules as well, which I quite like actually. It's very easy to understand and very easy to implement as well, should you want to go down that road of giving a curse to a particular person, or a player would want to give a curse to somebody. You can explain to him or her how the mechanics work. Then we have a chapter on gypsies, the old gypsies, when you got Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. There was that gypsy that wandered around the area with Talbot. And also in the Bride of Frankenstein, there was gypsies there as well. So gypsies do play a part in the film, and they also play a part in this as well. You know, they give fortune tellers, you know, cards turn over and say this is what's going to happen to you. So you can get sort of foretell for playing characters exactly what's going to happen to them if they go down a certain road. And they also have some powers, and they're able to travel from one realm to another without having to be at the mist's whim, you know, so they can go wherever they want, and that's good. So we got spells in Ravenloft then, how spells are affected, priest spells, wizard spells, and so on and so forth. And we'll find that if you try something, it doesn't come off, or if it does come off, it's not quite what you thought it would be. The turtle undead may more likely come running to you, as I showed in the table earlier on. Death to touch will probably rebound back on you, and stuff like that. Then you have magical items and how they are actually the rules for them govern them in Ravenloft, particularly intelligent items. Intelligent items tend towards evil, and we try to do their best to twist you and subvert you. So they're not to be touched by a passport. Then we get to the lands of the core, and the lands of the core then are the particular lands that you have within Ravenloft, with a description of what the land is like, what the people are like in there, and the encounter tables in there as well. They also give some of the Dark Lords who rule over the particular part of the lands. And by and large, you get really good explanations and some throwaway lines that you don't know enough about the lands. Until you buy the model or you buy one of the monster manuals that gives you a little bit more information. I think a lot of them are deliberately kept vague, so you, the Dungeon Master, can fill in the details and work it out for yourself. Then we have the Islands of Terror, but again is similar to the Lands of the Core. Then you also have then the who's who of Ravenloft, the Dark Lords themselves. Now in this book, the Dark Lords are more or less cursed beings because they done acts that are so evil that the Ravenloft powers brought them into Ravenloft, given them a land of their own. But when they have power, that's great for them, and it's like their perspective. But with the power, there's a check and balances. There's also a curse. They can always, much like for example, some of them start, he fall in love with a girl, which he sort of slew everybody over the wedding of his brother to this girl, whose name quite escaped me at the moment. But every now and then, the Ravenloft powers regenerate her, reincarnate her into a form of somebody in the village or in the outlying countryside around Barovia. And he forever pines for her, and he can never ever get to her. And it's always on his mind, there's a torment to him. And it's the same thing with some of the Dark Lords in Ravenloft, where they're given something, a goal or an ambition they always want to achieve. But the Dark Power just give them that little bit, but take it away by just that much. And they always believe then they can achieve their goal if only they did a little bit more effort, you know. And all this is just a little bit away from the ambitions and goals and achievements. Had anyone satisfied their achievements, then for example, there's a Mordenheim, Victor Mordenheim, who's basically Dr. Frankenstein, who creates Adam in one of the realms there. Now his wife was beaten almost to death by Adam, so he put her on machines to try and keep her alive. But he's always desiring to give her whole body again, but she's been driven insane by the experience of him experimenting on her to try and keep her going, you know. It was always that ambition of his to try and bring her back to life. But the powers that be always ensure that he fails, because they know that he doesn't realise in and of himself that it's his doing that's caused the problems in the first place. And if he does something about himself, then perhaps his wife will be cured, but he never realised it. As I said, the powers always just push the Emperor back a little bit further on from where they want to be. So that's that. So yes, that's the whole description of Ravenloft. After that then you're given Eustace bloodlines, who's who, a family tree of the people in Ravenloft, which I've never used, so I recommend you don't use them either. Why would you want to know who's cousin to start in one of the other realms? Oh, by the way, we do have a picture of Van Richten, and in this particular book, the picture is pretty bad. He looks like the Hobbit. So I'll show you over there now, you can see that. But aside from that, the book has got very profuse illustrations in there from a fellow called Stephen Fabian, and it absolutely suits and nails this book to the bits. It's absolutely brilliant artwork, it's really gothic, it's really atmospheric, and quite evocative as well. So if you want to get a mood or something, just take a look at this little artwork and that sort of immediately sets you in the right frame of mind to do a Ravenloft campaign. And the end of the book then is giving you techniques of terror, how to actually run the Ravenloft campaign and how to do the Ravenloft campaign in terms of game, Dungeons & Dragons game terms, and what you should do about describing things. You can't just say, roll dice 20, you know. You've got to describe a monster actually doing a very ferocious attack at you that just gets there, or misses you completely, but you don't just say, oh, you misses, roll dice 20 again. You try and get yourself into the actual playing of the model of the games, if you like, where you describe it like with a ferocious leap, the monster jumps at you, his fangs appearing and his eyes well gleaming and huge claws coming straight towards your face. Do it that way, it's a lot better. This book tells you that's the best way to do it, because you get that atmosphere, that feel, that terror. After that then you've got monsters, which are sort of typical of Ravenloft, and they've done in the second edition former, which was the whole page and the picture, and you have the ecology, where some creatures can survive in a particular area along with other creatures or unique only to themselves. And that basically is it. My final thoughts about this is absolutely brilliant, in my opinion, campaign setting to actually run, because I'm in love with universal monsters, and I've always been a fan of Frankenstein ever since as a retard. and it's always been something I've enjoyed actually playing, actually running campaigns in Ravenloft, especially with some of the models, which I will review in later times. I got to warn you that some of the models are really miss, and every now and again though, in amongst a lot of chaff, you get the actual nice kernel gold, so you can run a lot of things off that particular kernel, and I will be reviewing them as well in future. But overall, this is a really good purchase, and I would recommend it to anybody who wants to start off a campaign in a given area. I mean, there's been quite a few of them back in the years. You've had Ravenloft, this one, we've had Greyhawk, we've had the Forgotten Realms, the Spelljammer, we've had Planescape, and what's the other one, Dragonlance. So there's a fair few campaign worlds running around at the time, and people who are playing games are spoiled for choice, and sometimes they didn't know which one to do and all that business. It was like a flood into the market back in the day, all these campaigns. But they stand out in my opinion with this one. So I would totally recommend it to anybody who wants to play a campaign style game. This one will go to. And it's brilliant in Halloween, especially when you've got the candles, the lights are down and the darkness is up there. And you've got a nice little soundtrack of say Rolling Thunder or Hooting of Owls and Squeaking of Bats, Cobwebs in there as well. Lovely. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a good time and take care of yourselves out there with this coronavirus. Yeah, so welcome.